All right, so hey everyone, thanks for watching RideTheNewsGuy.com. Today's kind of a special day. So I am here with Brad Windhauser. You just wrote a new book, Brad, correct? And
Yep.
I have it right here. It's called The Intersection, and it's about issues of gentrification. Brad was kind enough, he reached out to me on Facebook. He's a local Philadelphia author, activist, and so I thought I would speak with him about his new book. So tell me, what was the inspiration behind this book for you?
So I grew up. I lived in this neighborhood not too long after I first moved to Philadelphia in 2003, and at the time it was gentrifying, and I was just very curious because I had never had any experience with gentrification. Like, what would happen if something inflamed all these tensions related to gentrification? And then I hit upon the idea of a bike accident, and I kind of took it from there.
Your book, it tells a very interesting story, but did you base it around Philadelphia from what I understand?
Yeah, so it's set actually in Graduate Hospital,
Okay.
and I was writing it around the time where that neighborhood was changing over. Now, for the most part, it has changed over. But what's really interesting is that there's so many other areas of the city that are going through this very same thing. So some people reading it will say, "Oh, that reminds me of this neighborhood," whether it's Point Breeze, which is just south of this particular area. So, but yeah, it's very tied to Philadelphia. It's a Philadelphia story.
Gentrification has been a big issue that for the last few years. I mean, we see it in Philadelphia, big time in New York. Do you think is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Are people, and then on the opposite side of the spectrum, are people finding it to be a good or bad thing? I mean, if people are living in, let's say, um, developments or living in communities that maybe are well off, excuse me, that are well off, and people move in that are maybe lower income because the houses there have prices have shifted. What have you, from your experience, what have you seen? Are the on your end, is it good, bad, indifferent?
I wouldn't say it's either good or bad. I think there are positives and negatives with it. I mean, the pros are that it brings um, it brings different people together who would never be together in one neighborhood. For example, so if you had people who were medium income census tract, then now all of a sudden they're interacting with groups that were maybe lower income census tract. So ideally, it's bringing people together who wouldn't otherwise be brought together. Obviously, the downside is that people are losing their homes, or losing their sense of communities. So, and one thing I was trying to do with the book is that it's just an issue we need to talk about. Like, if it's happening, and I think this is the type of change that you can be resistant to, but given the way that most people are reintegrating into urban environments in cities, people are going to come back in. So how do we better inform, educate, and arm, not to use a very loaded word,
No, yeah.
people how to work with it as opposed to having it work against them?
Do you? This book is completely fictional, non-fictional?
Fiction.
Fiction. How so far has the reception been towards it? Have people liked it? Has it been popular?
Yeah, the reception's been fairly good so far. So I'm looking forward to just continuing the momentum.
Do you, as an author, do you mostly write about these specific topics, gentrification, issues within class, race, and gender, or is this the first time your book has sort of taken not a turn in a bad way, but sort of taken this turn into this direction?
Most of my writing covers a wide variety of topics. I get an idea for one story, and that's kind of what I explore. So for this book, these ideas came to me because they were tied into the idea of this particular accident. My previous book is more gay-themed, with a strong religious angle, also set in Philadelphia. Um,
And what was that one called?
Regret.
Okay.
So, and that came out a number of years ago. So I try and be as diverse in my characters as possible. As a gay author, I usually have at least one or two main gay characters, just because you write what you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think my books are more about people, and so an idea just comes to me, and that's what brings out idea about character, things like that.
I see. Um, so you've said you've obviously seen it. Where in Philly, particular, has gentrification mostly taken over? Do you feel?
Throughout the city, I mean, historically, going back to, I would say, probably the 80s or 90s when it hit Society Hill, and the Society Hill towers went up and kind of moved out, so the lower income residents. And then when it sort of shifted west, when it hit Graduate Hospital, where the book is set, it's also hitting parts of West Philadelphia, in and around Drexel and Penn's campus, and now it's hitting parts of South Philly. So there's Passyunk Square, and also the Point Breeze area. So it's really happening. And then also a little north, actually, too. You're seeing it in Northeast Philadelphia, in Port Richmond, places like that.
Yeah. And do you feel that that's sometimes contributed to more of the crime that's happened, or in some of these areas, or no? Because I know, for instance, I can't really speak on the Philadelphia end, but I've seen, for instance, in New York, there's a lot of, in the New York City area, there's a lot of areas that, let's say, aren't the best, but a lot of people come in, and it's a lot of the millennials, actually, between, I see the ages of 25 and up, that come in, and these urban sort of people come in, fix it up, and move into these neighborhoods still that aren't good, but move into it and fix it up and get good rates on it. Do you think that, gentrification has contributed to, I don't want to say all of the crime, some of the issues that we have in the city?
It may be a factor. I think depending on what you read, you might read some stories where gentrification, especially once it takes firm root and kind of radiates out, eliminates some crime. But from a different perspective, if you have more affluent individuals moving in, they may be more targets for crime. So I think it just depends on who you read.
True. So obviously, it's an exciting week with the book is just coming out. What's up next for you? What events do you have coming up? I understand you're going to be at a few festivals, a few events. Tell us about that so we can find you and meet you, keep up with you.
So I'll be at the Baltimore Book Festival next Saturday, the 24th. I'll be selling copies of the book, and then back later that night, I have a book release party at Taboo in Philadelphia from 6 to 7:30. I'll be at the Collingswood Book Festival on October 1st, and then I have other readings coming up in DC, New York, and Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Busy stuff.
That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Fun.
And where can we find you at the Collingswood Book Festival and Baltimore Book Festival? Are you in a certain area? Should we look for you in a certain...
My own table
Okay.
at Collingswood Book Festival, and then in Baltimore, I'll be at the Black Rose Writing table, signing 11 to 2:30.
Awesome. Well, where can we keep up with you? Where can we follow you, follow your journey, follow what you have coming up next? I'm sure you're on social media. I know you definitely have a website, but I'm going to let you plug that and tell us what that is.
You can follow me on Facebook, of course, at Brad Windhauser. I have an author
That'll
page.
appear right down here. Right down here. So you can follow him there.
And also www.bradwindhauser.com. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Virgo Writer.
In finishing off, what is the best advice you have for aspiring writers, aspiring authors, especially writers or authors who are in the LGBT community, pardon me, or in another minority group?
Well, a couple things. I mean, the best writer advice you can ever get is to read. And you should read not just in the genre you like, but also read in different genres to get as many different ideas about how to approach the craft. If you belong to a particular minority group or a particular, let's say, gay fiction's your thing, read in the genre you would want to sell in. Okay? And support the people who ultimately might support you.
Yeah.
And then, start a blog. Get some exposure, get some practice writing, and just don't give up writing. That's also the best advice. Don't give up. Keep going.
Are there places people can go to learn to be better writers, classes people can take? What if, if there's somebody who wants to get into it, but they haven't really had any writing experience? Where can they go for that? At least in the Philadelphia area, if you know of any.
So if you're in school, whatever school you're at, take an intro to fiction course. If you are not in school, most community colleges offer a course that you can just sign up for. Independent of that, there's a lot of great workshops you can get online. I know there's an online program through theloft.com, either out of Chicago or Minneapolis. And you can take online courses with very talented and informed teachers, and they can help you improve.
Wonderful. Well, listen, Brad, it was so wonderful to chat with you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I think that this book is so important. I really think,
It looks like this.
Yes, show us. That's what it looks like. The Intersection by Brad Windhauser. And it's available in stores too, correct?
Yeah, it should be coming into some regional Barnes & Noble stores, but right now it's on Amazon and my publisher's website, blackrosewriting.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, Brad, thank you so much. Again, you are just taking the writing world by storm with your new book. I cannot wait to read it myself, and I hope everyone out there goes and reads it. It's definitely a good book, definitely informative. So you want to learn more about gentrification, keep it up. So thanks, Brad, so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.